Hi, I'm Scott Davis, and welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and yet very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of February 23rd, 2012, and One Flint in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We'll also be discussing Mercury moving into Aries and Venus moving into Taurus. February 23rd is One Flint, which carries the themes of introspection, reflection, sparks of insight, the self-sacrificing healer, the archetype of Chiron, the spiritual warrior, the knife that can be used to heal or harm, duality, good or evil, right or wrong, fear or faith, east or west, feasting or fasting, woman or man, us or them, leaders or followers, left or right mindedness. One Flint reminds me of the story of Chiron, which is the wounded healer, and his giving up his immortality so Prometheus could be freed from his eternal bondage of being chained to a rock and having vultures devour his liver during the day and then it regenerate every evening, which was Prometheus's punishment for bringing fire to humanity. Flint makes us aware of the illusion of our separateness so that we can transcend duality and to realize that our minds tell us that we are this and that, but our hearts tell us that we just are. Boundaries are constructs of the mind, and I am another you. Astrologically, the One Flint Tzolkin begins. We are still experiencing Mars and Saturn appearing to move in reverse motion, and as Mercury also begins to slow down for its own retrograde cycle. I'm going to discuss this a little later in this report in a section called Reflecting on Retrogrades. So anyway, February 23rd is One Flint, which is unity experienced through reflection and introspection with Mercury feeling tension from Mars. This is a day to use caution in communication and also to realize that people may be sharing their opinions as constructive criticism, but some of them, it's not constructive and can be downright aggressive. So sparks can certainly be flying on this Flint day. The 24th is Two Storm, which is duality experience through seeing the gifts in adversity with the sun merging with Chiron, the wounded healer, which shines a light on our emotional wounds to be healed for deeper spiritual integration. And the moon merges with Uranus and is challenged by Pluto, which brings unexpected moons and also impulsive actions. On February 25th, we have Three Sun taking action through honoring the wisdom of the ancestors, with the sun being stimulated by Jupiter, which brings a nice day of expansion and integration with something larger than yourselves, be it group consciousness or harmony with the energies that are beyond the physical realm. Speaking of Jupiter, the next few evenings are wonderful for observing the night sky with the moon, Venus, and Jupiter forming a triangle that can be seen with the naked eye. The 26th is for Crocodile. This is stability found through nurturing new beginnings with the moon opposing Saturn, stimulated by Neptune, and merging with Jupiter. This is a day where emotions shift from loneliness to empathy and sensitivity to psychic energy, and finally feelings of generosity. February 27th is 5 wind empowerment through communication, with the moon stimulated by the sun and forming a very positive trine, grand trine with Pluto and Mars. This provides an emotionally positive day for relating to others with confidence and sensitivity. The 28th is Sixth Night, being in the flow through contemplating the stars with the sun in harmony with Pluto, which brings a day to make changes in your life to clear out situations that are disempowering. February 29th is 7 seed reflection on planting new seeds and making new connections, with the second quarter moon being challenged by Neptune and the sun stimulated by Uranus. This is a day moves from dreamy to restless feelings and finally brings tension to our personal relationships. March 1st is 8 Serpent, which is balanced through being flexible, with the moon being challenged by Mars, which can bring irritability, needless conflicts, and rash actions. March 2nd is 9 Transformation, which is about patience through releasing what no longer serves us, with the moon being stimulated by Venus, supported by Saturn and Neptune, and challenged by Mercury and Uranus. This brings a day of emotional shifting energy, of wanting to socialize, feeling grounded, communicating your moods, experiencing daydreams, and finally acting impatient with others. And on that day also we have Mercury moving into Aries, which brings assertiveness to our dialogues. The third is 10 Deer, which is a manifestation through being of service to others, with the sun opposed by Mars. This brings a day to watch the tendency to be assertive based on your ego. The fourth, March 4th, is 11 Star. This is resolution through experiencing abundance in our relationships, with Venus feeling tension from Saturn, which can create conflict between fulfilling our responsibilities and the desire to just go out and have a good time. The fifth is 12 Offering, which is understanding through offering appreciation for all creation. And it's a day when we have Mercury merging with Uranus, which brings some exciting and interesting communications. Also on the 5th, Venus moves into Taurus, bringing sensual and earthy qualities to our romantic and social relationships. And this will be in effect through the end of the month. March 6th is 13 Dog, which is movement to the next stage through spending time with family and friends, with Venus in harmony with Neptune. Stimulates our creative and romantic imaginations. This being the One Flint Tzolkin, or 13-day period, I was thinking about reflection. And when we're experiencing retrograde cycles, we're encouraged to partake in activities which begin with such as review, rewrite, return, remit, remember, revolt, rethink, respond, resolve, revisit, relearn, and of course reflect. So I am reflecting on retrogrades. Of course, we currently have Mars and Saturn appearing to move in reverse motion as Mercury begins to slow down for its own retrograde cycle. Both Mars and Saturn began these retrograde cycles back in November, so they're playing out themes that were established at that time, which was also the time of the last Mercury retrograde cycle. I've been using this chart here to illustrate there's 3 stages of a retrograde cycle. To understand this process, we need to be aware of 2 significant points in any retrograde cycle. One of them is this degree where the planet appears to change direction and move in reverse, and the other is the degree where the planet appears to begin moving forward again. Once we have this information, we can look at the point where the planet begins to move across this degree, where it'll eventually move forward again as it moves towards the degree where it actually begins its retrograde cycle. This period between these 2 points we're going to refer to as the first stage, and this is where we become aware of new information that indicates some kind of cosmic course correction in our lives. The second stage is the actual retrograde period, where the planet appears to be moving in reverse, and during that time period, we experience events related to the information we received during the first stage. Then the planet stops and begins to move forward again, or at least it appears to do so, and this is the third stage, and this is the window between the point where it turns direct and begins moving forward again, and it moves past the degree where it previously turned retrograde. During this third stage, we move forward with a revision to our previous course. Knowing the house of your astrological chart where this transit is being played out can be very helpful in implementing your personal course correction. We can also look at the planet and the sign of the zodiac that it is traveling through for clues about our course correction. For instance, we currently have Saturn, the planet representing restriction and limitation, but also commitment and hard work, moving backwards, and I've marked this in blue on this chart. So it tells us that that it's moving in reverse, and it's moving in reverse in the sign of Libra, which is about relationships. So this tells us that we are looking at something in the nature of a relationship that we were aware of between November 4th, 2011 and February 7th, 2012 has come up to be reviewed and either completed or requires a commitment of hard work in order to stabilize the relationship. So ask yourself, are you experiencing a relationship that needs to be resolved through either moving on or investing more energy to create a stronger foundation? These are both themes of Saturn retrograde in Libra. But this becomes more complex because Mars, which represents our energy and motivation, which I've put in this chart in red, has been appearing to move in reverse since January 23rd, 2012, and it's in Virgo, which represents health and service. So this Mars retrograde has us looking at aspects of our lives where we're putting energy into people, places, and work, and it may be compromising our health and well-being since November 19th, 2011. So do you have any situations that are compromising your health by draining your energy and motivation? Because both of these planets began their first stage of this retrograde cycle in November, they may be referring to the same course correction. At that time, Mercury was also in its first stage of the previous retrograde cycle and began that first stage November 5th, 2011, and completed its course correction for Mercury on January 1st, 2012, for on New Year's Day. During this time period, I had a former lover who came back into my life for a 9-day visit that began on November 5th, and it really left me feeling exhausted. She ended up ending the relationship on New Year's Eve. So this matched the last Mercury cycle exactly. In January, as Mars turned retrograde, she sent me an 8-page letter detailing every issue she had an issue with me over the last 4 years, and also was attacking my beliefs. So here we have an assertive, detailed review of the past as an example of Mars retrograde in Virgo. And then on the day that Saturn turned retrograde, I received 3 pictures from her that were not accompanied by a note. So it's unclear why she sent them to me, but I'm looking at these overlapping retrograde cycles as telling me that the relationship Libra needs to be resolved Saturn by withdrawing retrograde my motivation Mars from a relationship that drains my energy, and in doing so is compromising my health, Virgo. Well, now we are looking at the beginning of a new Mercury retrograde cycle, which occurs with Mercury turning retrograde on March 12th. So from Mercury crossing this line of 24 degrees of Pisces on February 27th, we'll begin the first stage of its retrograde cycle, which will last until March 12th. And during this time period, this represents the shadow time between passing the point where the planet eventually begins moving forward again and the point where the planet slows and stops and begins moving in reverse. During the first stage, we receive information about needing to adjust our direction. On March 12th, Mercury does turn retrograde at almost 7 degrees Aries. And from that point until April 4th, it will move backwards all the way back to 24 degrees of Pisces, during which time we will experience this second stage of its retrograde cycle, which is about becoming aware of events related to the information that we received during the first stage. On April 4th, Mercury appears to move forward again, which is called moving direct, and this begins the third stage, which goes until it crosses this line of where it appeared to originally turn retrograde. So during April 4th to April 23rd, we are to implement a change in direction that we've become aware of through the experience of this process. This Mercury retrograde cycle is very unique in that it crosses from the sign of Aries back into the sign of Pisces. And each time it does, it conjuncts with Uranus. So this, and Uranus is in the early degrees of Aries, which is like a surge in our intellectual energy for moving in a new direction. But Pisces requires that we integrate our inner spiritual compass before taking off on our new adventure. So however you experience these retrograde cycles, please take some time out to be in the flow with the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, being with someone you love. Every day is a blessing no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We are all here giving the performance of our lifetime on this world stage, so just take some time out to observe the play as well as acting your part. Remember that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Thank you for taking the time out to check out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on March 7th for One Monkey, which is the halfway point of the 260-day Tzolkin calendar round. And I'll also be discussing the Virgo new moon and Mercury turning retrograde. You can check us out on Facebook or YouTube. I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com. If you have any questions about the information that I'm presenting, or if you wish to schedule a reading, and for a limited time, I am offering a special on readings. The reading I'm offering will look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your individual strategy and authority for making decisions based on your unique design. I will also discuss the next 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology charts. For this special reading offer, you pay only what you can afford based on the value you get from the experience. If you've been thinking about getting a reading during these uncertain times, I would like to provide you with one. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the United States of America, or connect with me over Skype to receive your reading. As my complimentary gift to you, I will email you a 20 or 30 page report giving you 3 months of detailed planetary transits as they relate to your birth chart for all paid readings. As always, I feel blessed that you are connecting with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.